Kia ora. Hello and welcome to this presentation on the exposure draft of the revised audit evidence standard. I'm Bruce. I'm a project manager in the assurance standards team here at the XRB. And today I'm going to be talking with Sylvia, who's a technical advisor to the New Zealand member on the IAASB, so you can benefit from her insights into this proposed standard. Today we'll talk about the key matters addressed by the standard, then take a deep dive into three of those key matters. At the end of the presentation, we'll have a look at the consultation timeline and find out how you can provide us with feedback that will assist us in responding to the IAASB. So firstly, Sylvia, what are the key matters addressed by the proposed standard?
Hi, Bruce. Yes, there are a number of key matters being addressed by this proposed standard. Firstly, the scope of the standard has been clarified and that it will now provide a reference framework for auditors when making judgments about audit evidence throughout the audit. Now, the appendix of the proposed standard provides examples of other auditing standards where audit evidence may need to be obtained for specific matters. And the appendix also provides a useful list of audit procedures that the auditor may use to obtain audit evidence. Also, the definition of audit evidence has been revised and simplified. And a stand-back paragraph has been introduced to assist the auditor to evaluate whether sufficient appropriate audit evidence has been obtained. Now, the standard also clarifies the auditor's responsibilities when using information prepared by a management expert. And there's new terminology around the use of technology. There are now references to, for example, automation bias and the use of automated tools and techniques. And throughout the standard, emphasizing the role of professional skepticism in regard to audit evidence.
Let's now have a look at some of these matters in more detail. And as you noted, the audit evidence definition has been revised. And I see that it's been described as an input-output model. So in this case, what is the input and what is the output?
Yes, Bruce, that is correct. Now, information intended to be used as audit evidence is the input, and then this information needs to be subject to audit procedures to become audit evidence, which is the output. And then the auditor then uses this output to form their opinion and report. Now, the concept of sufficient appropriate audit evidence is retained in the standard, and additional explanatory material is included on the interrelationship between the sufficiency, appropriateness, and persuasiveness of audit evidence.
That's great. So now let's look at the use of a management's expert. An example of a management's expert could be an actuary or a property valuer. When an auditor intends to use evidence that's been prepared by one of these experts, there are three requirements which we see on screen. Now, the first two requirements have been carried forward from the current standard, but Sylvia, I understand that the third requirement has changed.
Yes, it has. Now, the IAASB considered the current requirement to evaluate the appropriateness of the expert's work to be redundant because it's now covered as part of paragraph 8b of the standard, which requires the auditor to evaluate the relevance and reliability of information intended to be used as audit evidence. Now, in its place is what is shown on screen, as you can see. Now, the benefit of this new requirement is that it focuses the auditor to think about how management uses the information prepared by the expert in preparing the financial statements and whether management has made any modifications to the information prepared by the expert.
Now let's look at the overview of the proposed requirement. This slide gives us an overview of the whole standard. It's a relatively short standard. In fact, there are only 7 paragraphs in the requirements section, with plenty of application material to assist auditors. The last item we're going to discuss today is what's highlighted on the screen, the new stand-back requirement. Essentially, this closes the loop from earlier in the standard where the auditor designs and performs audit procedures to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. This new requirement is the auditor saying, okay, I've got all this audit evidence. Is it sufficient and appropriate? Does it meet the intended purpose of the audit procedures? And is all audit evidence obtained consistent or inconsistent with other audit evidence? So, Sylvia, when in the audit process is the auditor expected to do the stand back?
Yes, Bruce, the stand back, which is a new requirement, gets done at the conclusion stage. Now, when you get there, when you've done all your procedures, the auditor evaluates all the audit evidence obtained from the audit procedures performed as a basis for concluding whether sufficient appropriate audit evidence has been obtained in accordance with ISA 330. Now, this stand back requirement emphasizes the exercise of professional skepticism by requiring the auditor to consider all the evidence obtained.
Ngā mihi, Sylvia. The exposure draft document is posted on our website. You can comment on the questions raised via our website or by email, or by attending our virtual feedback forum on the 1st of March 2023. Please submit all responses to us by the 15th of March 2023. We'll consider all feedback received, and your feedback will be used to inform our response to the IAASB. Thank you for watching this presentation. We hope it was useful. If you'd like to receive reminders about commenting on this consultation, please follow us on LinkedIn or subscribe on our website. While you're on our website, check out our other consultation documents on audits of service performance information and assurance over greenhouse gas emissions disclosures. Thank you, mā te wā.